tavern. Trip kind of flutters down. The common room is now empty because it is now quite late at night. Except for the bartender who's wiping glasses down and the like. He seems not to notice you. And Trip comes down and says, what happened? And Mika flies up and starts giving him an account.
While she's doing that, I'm going to order a very strong drink from the bartender.
I'm going to sit down at this table and thump a fairly large chest on it and open it up and see what's inside.
You find several different types of coin, mostly donations, lots of coppers, silvers, a few gold. It all equals out to about 36 gold.
Neat.
Can't believe you carried
Finn's
that thing
just
with you
sitting
the whole
down,
time.
staring at a wall.
All right. So Trip says, after Mika and Trip are done talking, Trip alights on the table and says, so you have a ledger?
Oh, yeah. I was distracted there for a moment. Yeah, Pearson brings down his pack, takes out the ledger, and before he gives it to anyone, he says, this is another thing I should have seen coming a mile away. A bookie never lets anyone look at his ledger, let alone give it to him. He was in a big hurry, and he was scared shitless. Which means what we want to know is in here, but what we find out, we're going to have to tread very carefully. And he puts the ledger on the table and downs his drink.
So like in the sewers, yes, Cullimore.
Yeah, even more so in the sewers. At least rats you can fight back against. Some of the higher-ups, you won't even see them coming for the most part if they're doing their jobs right. It's pretty grim.
To be completely honest, don't expect this to be an easy task. I didn't expect there to be a mob coming after you, but there is a reason why we're offering so much gold. You are, of course, welcome to back out if you wish, but we desperately need your help.
Maybe if it was anyone else, I might have backed out, but this has gotten a little personal for me, so I was going to see this through anyway. Might as well get paid to do it.
Trip brightens up and says, oh, okay. Everyone else?
I would love to continue, and slams the empty chest closed and kind of tucks him under his arm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then Trip says, Pearson, do you know how to read such a ledger?
Yeah, sorry, I was just catching my wits. Pearson puts his glass to the bartender, gestures him to fill it one more time, but he sits down to the nearby table where he left the ledger and starts flipping through it. I am assuming, can I use a skill roll? Just because I don't
No, I would say that this is, you have more than enough time and you would know how to read this. I'm actually going to just type you the names so that you have them in your Skype. But basically, you're able to find that, obviously through all his other transactions, some of which you find are very colorful, but what you're looking for, which are the purple stones, you do manage to find who they were sold to. Turns out that whatever Fredericks was, he was a meticulous record keeper. And you find names, but names only, of 4 people who had stones sold to them. There you go. Those are the names.
Do any of them look familiar to me?
None of them look familiar to you.
All right. Well, it's a shot in the dark. I'll read these out. Well, it looks like we got 4, and they're the last owners. I don't recognize them, but hey, maybe you guys do. I got Sarah Fillamore, Dubious Marion. He's probably a coward with that sort of name. Emmerich Cavengnaud, and Wagga Ironhide. Anybody?
I know Sarah Fillamore.
Well, care to share more on that?
It's a name Lady Celine likes to use when moving unseen.
Ah, Lady fucking Celine.
And Mika kind of looks up, as in the noble of this town?
Yep.
Pearson points to the fairies and says, if Lady fucking Celine is involved in this, 250 gold or not, you might have to give us a little bit more payment at the end of this, because this just keeps on getting better. Oh.
Yeah.
Mika flutters down and says, well, hang on, calm down. This isn't a list of evil people. This is just a list of people who bought stones that may or may not know what they're used for.
It's Lady Celine. She knows what they're used for. She collects odd objects and oddities, namely magic things.
And at that moment, right when you say that, the door busts open, and marches in about 15 guards.
This night keeps on getting better. I better down my drink before they
Finn just lays down on the ground.
Who all level their they kind of surround you guys, and then one of them at the head, this guy here, I'm just going to put him there, says, "You are all under arrest for the murder of 4 Whitebridge citizens on the bridge earlier tonight."
I'm not even going to turn around to face him. I'm going to finish my drink and says, what proof do you got? And do I know this guard?
No, you do not.
Damn it. What proof do you got? We've been here the entire night.
The gentleman shakes his head and says, "It's not my duty to explain why you're arrested or to judge your innocence or guilt. You are to come with us in front of the captain of the guard, where you will be held accountable and either found innocent or guilty." And he says, "You can resist, but I promise you, no one will leave this alive. Or you can come with us and let justice be prevailed."
Yeah, okay. Can I finish my drink first?
The guard looks at you, a little raised eyebrow, looks that you're pretty beat up, and shrugs his shoulders and starts just cuffing everyone else first.
Thanks.
He apparently he's not a total asshole, it would seem.
Fair enough.
May I bring my new chest?
The guard looks at Cole, looks at the chest, and says, motions for 2 of the guards to pick up the chest. "If you're found innocent, that will be returned to you."
Okay. Wait. Finn kind of sits up. Will we get clean clothes if we come with you, like prison wear or something? I don't know, but
the guard looks at you for a second and then laughs.
I smell like shit. Don't you laugh.
He laughs at you, and that's about it.
Stop it! Cole, make this guy stop!
Stop laughing.
There, he said it.
All right. Cullimore stands up. Okay, we're going peacefully, right? We're innocent after all. Only guilty people run away. Do you really have to handcuff us, though? There's 15 of you, and as you can see, we've had one hell of a night.
He doesn't seem to be listening to you as they handcuff you all.
Oh boy. Well, I haven't felt the cold kiss of metal on my wrists for a long time. That takes me back. I don't say that. I'm just thinking it.
So,
these are uncomfortable. You have some in my size.
I don't actually have a map for this. I'm just going to kind of move us over to the city, and we'll use that as the backdrop, as you say.
I sent you an IM message, Squee. I think it's pertinent.
Yes, you did. I was about to get to that. Yes, you can.
I poop at them.
So, how about that, Squee?
Jesus!
Oh my God.
Okay, out of curiosity, are you doing this completely breaking them off, or are you trying to do it incognito?
Incognito.
Okay, then your shackles are broken, and you managed to so skillfully do it that they still look like they're attached. Basically, your little knock bored through enough of it that one quick yank and it'll come apart.
I'm a fucking wizard, goddammit.
Let me see if I have a suitable map. I don't actually have a map for this because a lot of this is just going to be role-playing, so I didn't really need too much of a setting, but we can go ahead and just
it's fine.
Yeah,
not everything needs a setting.
This will work. Oh well, no, we'll just do that. So What you guys? I assume you're going peacefully, if not a bit grumbly.
Yeah. Yeah. Pearson, he's been in this situation before, and he's learned that you get a little bit more. You catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. So he's not gonna curse. He's not gonna put up a fight. He's just gonna. They're just doing their jobs. We'll be the perfect. I mean, Pearson's gonna be the perfect little captive for them for now.
Finn's frowning, looking very upset.
Mika has actually, I should point this out, Mika and Flip have actually flooded off into the rafters. They appear to have been unnoticed by the guards. So they are not with you. You don't know where they are. And surprisingly, you guys are not marched towards the palace, as one would normally think. You are marched further into the...
Sewers?
No.
No.
You're marched to basically a very nondescript-looking house in the middle of the poor district, in which you are issued through.
And joy.
Pearson, you would know this. The guards of Whitebridge think it's insane that most of the other races actually keep their jail in the palace, which is the most valuable part of the city. So their jail has actually several entrances, all very nondescript looking, and even despite your knowledge of the city, you've actually never known where any of these entrances are. That's how well guarded they are. You also know that while this house may be an entrance into it, it's not necessarily something that would benefit your knowledge because it moves constantly.
Got ya.
But you guys are marched to the house, and you're marched into a stone room where you see basically the captain of the guard. He's dressed a little bit more stylishly. He has a chainmail. He actually have a description of him. His name is Jorlif, captain of the guard. He's tall. He's grizzled. He looks like tired in the sense of he's been doing this a long time. He has a scar down the right side of his face and very broad shoulders, and he is always seen in chainmail. Of course, Pearson, you know of him. You've seen him, though you've never personally talked to him. Keen, you actually know him. You guys, he was your main contact when you used to hunt bounties. He wasn't exactly what you would call a friend, but you guys got along well and you respected each other. So you know each other fairly well. The rest of you have never seen him before. Or at least you may have seen him around town, but this is probably the first time you've ever been in front of him. You guys are marched kind of in a line in front of him, and then he looks up and he looks at each of you in turn and pauses a bit longer on Pearson and a lot longer on Keen. And then he puts down his pen that he was writing with and then shakes his head and says, I didn't expect to find you here, Keen.
Keen just shrugs.
And he shakes his head again and then says, and kind of adjusts his shoulders and says, the 5 of you are arrested for the murder of 4 civilians, and he rattles off 4 names, on the bridge near the tavern. Do you admit to this?
Pearson kind of looks around, seeing if anyone's going to speak first.
I didn't murder anyone.
Yeah. That's true. You see, murder implies premeditation. Murder implies the first strike. It was self-defense, and therefore it wasn't murder. They died, yes, but we didn't start the fight. We were robbed. We gave them an option to not rob us. They attacked. We defended ourselves.
Jorlif looks at Pearson for a long time and then says, if you were being attacked, as you say, and had no choice but to defend yourself, why then did you simply leave? Why did you not get the guards, or at the very least tell the guards that you had been attacked?
Sir, you know who I am. Well, you might have heard who I was. Exactly. Precisely. And when someone hears, oh, this old ganger named the Bone Splitter, he's here on the bridge. Maybe one of the young guards might get his mind of making a name for himself and killing me before asking me any sort of questions. I've had a rocky relationship, and it's been for the longest time, I've tried to lead very peacefully, live as a civilian. But my reputation, I can't shake. and sometimes it's best to run than to talk with the guards. I apologize. But I felt it was our only interest.
And he looks at everyone else in turn. And all of you ran from the scene for the same reason? He asked questioningly. None of you thought to inform a guard? A simple, hey, we've been attacked?
Finn suddenly breaks out into tears, and he just shouts, I was so scared! I've never been in a battle before! I didn't know what else to do! I listened to this guy! And it just seemed like a good idea, I guess!
It's true. You see, I've been kind of hired as a tour guide of these travelers, and also as a bit of protection, hoping my name would keep the unsavory away from us. It was my guidance. So if it's anyone's fault for leaving the scene of a crime, it's mine.
Jorlif looks at Pearson and says, you, I can believe. And you are the one I have the most trouble believing. Look at it from my point of view, Pearson. Which seems more likely? That the only surviving member, or the only member to leave the Bridgestone Kings and survive, happened to be mugged on a bridge and murdered them and happened to walk away? Or that Pearson has gotten back into the game and was making a power play?
I understand the way you think. I really do. But you know that I have a family. You know I have a reason. There was a reason why I left in the first place. Why would I jeopardize all that for the sake of pride of a gang that's long dead? If I wanted to get back into the game, I would have done so 10, 12 years ago when I was still young. I'm old. I'm out of shape. I'm beat up.
Yeah, look at that belly. Sorry.
Jorlif looks at it back and forth, and he seems to make no real emotion one way or the other. And then finally his eyes rest on Keen, and he says, you most of all. You know how our system works. You who brought me bounty after bounty, alive or dead, but always following the rules. I expected better from you.
Yeah. I was on a job, and the rest of them decided it'd be better to just leave. So I had a choice of staying back and neglecting the job or going with. Now, you know me. What do you think I would have done? Or, you know what I mean.
It's not simply a matter of what I think. If it turns out that you guys, or that I judge that you are being truthful, that this was an act of self-defense, then you're all a bunch of idiots, but you're not worth my dungeons. However, we have someone else with a different story. Mr. Mellencamp, if you would please. And in the room walks a dirty man who you instantly recognize as the one who got away from the fight. And Mr. Mellencamp goes, yes, sir, those are the men, sir. And Jorlif kind of cuts him off and says, here's what's going to happen. Mr. Mellencamp here is going to tell me what happened, his side of the story. You, as the accused, will have one chance, and one chance only, to talk to him and ask him any questions you may have. And then I will render my judgment. Is this clear?
Oh, very.
All right. Very well, Mr. Mellencamp, if you would please. What happened? And, Mr. quote-unquote Mellencamp.
During this, while he's talking, is he kind of looking at us, or is he just looking at the guard?
No, he is nervously glancing everywhere.
Okay. Pearson is going to fix him with a very deadly, murderous gaze. Just looking at him, just staring, not blinking, not threatening, not steering, but it's be very careful what you're going to say type of gaze. And you use that sort of intimidation trick on the street, so I'll take a modifier to my forged on the street roll, but I want to try to intimidate him.
I am not even going to make you roll for that, because you almost killed him. I think he's pretty terrified of you as it is.
Okay.
And when you give him that gaze, he is going to kind of shrink behind Jorlif. And Jorlif is going to see what happens, and he's going to say, Pearson, I'm well aware of what your reputation is. I'm also well aware that you can't do anything in this room. So if you would kindly stop threatening my witnesses.
You're absolutely right. There is nothing I can do to him in this room. And I smile.
Jorlif just kind of sighs. Mr. Mellencamp, if you would please, your story. And Mr. Mellencamp looks back and forth and starts talking very quickly. And he says, well, you see, my lord, we were on the bridge and we were just minding our own business, you know. All for the 5 of us with our leader, Jackson. We had just finished our mercenary job for the Merchant Guild, and we had been paid in gold, and it's the gold right there. They took it from us. And Jorlif holds up his hand and he says, that's your gold? Well, yes, that's our gold. Well, how much gold is in those bags? And Jorlif goes, Mellencamp goes, I don't know. I didn't really count it. And Jorlif goes, you didn't count your own gold. And Mellencamp's like, well, Jackson always handled that kind of thing. I don't know. Jorlif holds up his hand again and looks to you guys and says, do any of you know how much gold we have confiscated from you?
Jarek,
Yes.
I had 150 gold pieces in my bag. Give or take some extra that I used for my horse.
505. I counted every last bit of it.
Keen just starts staring at Finn. 505.
Finn just stops.
Fidian and Cole
I had
united those
25.
together.
I had 25 on me.
I give a kind smile to the head guard, and I say, I'm a simple family man. I only was able to scrounge up 10 gold, and that's what you found on me.
Jorlif looks back to Mellencamp, where Mellencamp goes, that doesn't mean anything. Of course they probably counted our gold after they robbed us. And Jorlif goes, uh-huh. Please continue. And Mellencamp looks even more nervous than before, and then he continues on. He goes, well, like I said, the 5 of us were on the bridge, and we were just minding our own business, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do that evening. And then that man, and he points to Pearson, that man right there, he walks up with his thugs, and he blocks our path to the other side of the bridge, and then he tells us that we're on his turf. And he says, well, my good friend Jackson, he says, well, we don't want no trouble. We did not know that this was your bridge. And Pearson, he just laughed at him, and he said that all the bridges were his now that he had founded a new gang, and that he was going to show us what happens if we trespass. Well, my good friend Jackson, well, he tried to apologize and said that we were going to leave, but the thugs attacked us. We didn't have a choice. We had to defend ourselves and our gold. So Shatter and Free, they attacked them from behind, and we tried to fight them off from the front. The other 3 of us we did, but we were no match for them, my lord. They took our gold and they murdered my friends, and they were laughing the whole time they did it. I did my best to fight them, but well, when I saw my friends die around me, I was terribly scared, my lord. And when I was the only one left, Pearson, he pointed at me. He said, Nettie, he said, Nettie, I'm gonna let you go so that you can spread the word that I'm back, and that my gangs will run the streets. And I was so scared, and so I ran, and I got the guards. But as soon as I came back, they were gone. They took our gold. I demand it back. And Jorlif listens to him for a long time and then nods and then looks over to all of you and he says, as the accused, you have the right to question this man. Do any of you have questions?
Oh, yes.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
But not for him. For you.
Oh.
Well, then that'll have to wait.
Okay.
Go ahead, Finn.
Oh, no. I was just wondering, what was you said that there's people in front of us and behind us on the bridge, so we were in the middle, surrounded by you guys. Is that just making that clear?
Mellencamp looks a little unclear and looks at Jorlif and back at you. What I said was, and
because
then
what you said was we came from one side and intimidated you, but then you said that you were around us, so that sounds kind of weird. Which one is it? I can't remember.
And Mellencamp goes, Well, no. What I said was that that we were on the bridge and that you came, and then we had friends on the other side of it. That's what I said. My lord, I mean, they terrified me. I may not have all my details straight, but they attacked us. And Jorlif is completely silent.
Finn gives like a raised eyebrow, kind of looking at the guard man.
Pearson gives a surprised and appreciative little nod to Finn there, actually. And he says, okay, so let's make a few assumptions. Let's assume what you're saying is true, and that's a big leap. But if I want to remake my own gang, as you say, what was my gang name? What was the new name of this gang that I was going to start up?
Mellencamp looks and he goes, you never said.
Well, that's kind of strange. No point of having a gang without a name. That's kind of the first go of it, actually.
Well, you were trying to kill us. I assumed you didn't care if we knew what the name of your gang was.
But you did say that you would spread the name of his gang, right?
Yeah, you'd spread a word of it, right? So what's the point of spreading the word if you don't even know?
Well, maybe he said the name. I don't know. I was terrified. He's talking to Jorlif now, kind of pleading. I was terrified. I don't remember what he said his name of the gang was.
Listen, it's quite simple. We got you into a corner here, guy. You have two options. You can tell the truth, fess up, go in the dungeon for a couple years, and we'll probably forget about you. Or you can continue to lie and make things
holds up
worse
his hand.
for yourself.
Excuse me, Pearson. This is my room, not yours. I determine the fate and the sentencing.
Fair enough. I think it's just a good idea to remind someone of the consequences of wasting your valuable time, is all.
Jarek yawns and nonchalantly says he's actually looking off at the side of the wall as if this is just completely wasted his time. He says,
how could anyone such as you not know how much he is being paid for a job?
Mellencamp looks and goes, I already said I didn't count it. Jackson took care of that stuff.
Jarek actually quickly wheels his head to look at Mellencamp and says,
you look like the sort who would always count and even bite his coins.
Jorlif looks at the rest of them and then looks at Mellencamp and then he says, if Jork was in charge of all the gold, why was it in separate bags? And Mellencamp goes, well, he was giving it out to us. Of course, we each had our own fair share. Naturally. Jorlif just nods. Looks back to
okay.
Your fair share? How do you know it was fair? Do you implicitly trust, or did you implicitly trust Jackson?
Mellencamp goes, I trusted my friend.
Finn's head drops down and he's kind of trying to conceal a smile. Little smirk.
All right, fine. You got this money by doing a job. What was the job that you did? Please go into excruciating detail. I'm very interested.
And Mellencamp looks around. Well, you see, we were guarding this merchant caravan.
Oh, okay. What was the merchant's name?
I don't know. Jackson took care of that thing, but we were supposed to be guarding some purple stone or something. He looks like he's looking around trying to look for anyone to support him, but obviously no one's there to support him. He says, I don't ask the questions. Look, my lord, they murdered my friends. They took my gold. And Jorlif holds up his hand and he goes, Nettie, do you have anything else to say? And Mellencamp goes, no, and then Jorlif goes, I thought your name was Mellencamp. And Nettie just looks around and then says, well, they call me Nettie. And Jorlif goes, I think I've heard enough. And Jorlif says, you're free to go, Mr. Mellencamp. But what about my... And then he cuts him off. I said, you're free to go.